When coming up to the podium to make a statement, please give your name, full name, and street address. When you're coming up, we'll ask, give your presentation, we'll ask questions, we'll bring it back to the board. That's kind of the way it goes. So, any questions for the board on the minutes? Any comments? Oh, roll call. Thank you.
Davis.
Here.
Girth.
Here.
Royal.
Here.
Herman.
Here.
Hudak. Kaufman.
Here.
Metz. Miller. Millet.
Here.
All right, now let's talk about the minutes. Any comments, changes, questions about February 11th minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as sent out.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any old business? Nope. All right. Move on to new business. Oh,
Last month, we brought you some information regarding the carousel at the Menominee Park and its status and participation levels that we had and cost of repairs. And since last month, I've gone through and done some more research in regards to checking with vendors about the potential repairs going further. And to be honest with you, I haven't come up with any great solutions in regards to the unit. The carousel itself, as I mentioned, is either between a 1935 to 1945 or 32 to 45 type unit. It's a Allen Herschel park model carousel. And speaking through with one of the vendors I spoke with that deals with more amusements and repairs going forward, the park models are going to be challenging on a sale point because of the fact that they're not mobile to go through as compared to any type of carnival type ride that's usually on a trailer to get mobilized to different locations. Looking at some of the components, as I mentioned last time, with all the steel hardware that has to be replaced on the unit that would have to be manufactured, plus and that not counting the wood components that have to be replaced, where the entire deck, arms, support cast, everything there are all lumber. That wasn't part of my original cost of that $132,000 for the restoration of that unit. Going further from this point, I was just kind of try to see if there's any more ways to sell this for potential salvaging parts, things of that nature. But I just know that our funding is challenging for the repair of this unit. But it's back to you guys to make a decision on what direction you'd like to go with the carousel.
If we would sell the carousel or parts of it, you anticipate looking for something to replace it? Or, in the next year budget or something, or a different amusement ride or something that would maybe work?
I think that's going to have to be determined. We'll come
Okay.
back and maybe if we get into just pulling some participants through there, or what type of plan we want to go on through, or developing a small master plan or something for the amusement area. And also look at the results that we had back in the Menominee Park master plan in regards to the amusement area and what direction we'll go.
And that being said, have we ever had just an evaluation of the amusement side of the Menominee Park besides the master plan?
Not
Maybe it would, I don't know what kind of cost it might be to have somebody come in and say, here's what you got in Menominee Park with the train and the zoo, and you could add this, and you might bring more people down for Jenny to work with. Or, maybe something that eventually could get put in the budget, that, more families would come down because of that. So I don't know if, what everybody else thinks, if it would pay to maybe look at it doing just an amusement study, not just a master park study, but what amusements. I mean, there's other communities, obviously, we all know Green Bay's got Bay Beach, and that's a very expensive setup, but I'm sure there's other communities. I know, Ray, you came from Oconomowoc. I don't know if they had any amusement rides and things, but I'm just thinking, we already have the train, we have the aquatic stuff. Down the line, a year or two from now, would there be something that we could add to the Menominee Park area that would draw a few more families down there?
I guess I'll jump in a little bit and just say that, I think we need to take some time to take a look at, is it amusements? Our existing amusements are not making money at this point.
Okay.
I don't think we'll have the traffic flow that a Bay Beach does.
No,
In order to make sure that they are sustaining. And we also need to look long-term, as in when these rides were purchased years ago, to make sure that we can afford capital improvement and fundings down the road. And right now, as we shared with you, just the personnel costs increase over the last couple of years, and with the economy, it's very difficult to keep these operating. And so I think, right now, I'd like us to focus on the carousel, and then we
Yeah.
can take a look at, as we talked about through this process, what are some other opportunities we can look at down there? And, if it's an amusement ride, I think it's going to have to be something that can be proven to sustain itself and sustain some future improvements as well.
Do you think that there is any interest from, you said it might be difficult to sell as a whole, so maybe scrapping it for parts. Do you think that there's an interest from community or people that have that, we talked about the nostalgic feeling, like people want to buy could you sell a horse to somebody, like if they wanted it, or is that kind of what you're thinking about, breaking it apart and selling it as parts, or just more for people who need those parts as they go?
I guess that's what I'd have to look into a little bit further. Obviously, the chariots and the horses are probably the most nostalgic item to auction or sell on a resale site to go from. But we'd have to look at it. Ideally, it'd be nice to sell the package as a whole, if that's one thing considered. But if the value for those units could be higher, and we could do something more for the amusements on the revenue side of selling those, that might be an option. So definitely.
Ray, do we get to keep the money?
Yes, I would expect this money would be retained within the ride account, because the rides are in a deficit. We try to get that back up to closer to even. And I guess, just real quickly, to Tony's question, the city does have a policy for disposing of property, so we'd have to work with our purchasing division to come up with whether it's posted on Oshkosh, or if we can go ahead and post it on some of these potential carousel sites where interested purchasers might be.
I guess I'd make a motion that staff packages stuff and package it up and see what you can get for it, and then when we get offers, bring it back to us. But I don't think you need any more board approval or anything to move forward with that. That sounds like what you guys want to do, and there's nobody complaining to keep it. So I think I'm the last holdout on keeping it. So I'll surrender and pick a different battle. But why don't we make a motion to have staff look at options for selling it?
I'll second that.
And I just want to clarify, what we're doing is making a recommendation to the council, because the council will make the final determination on this, because as this board is finding, it could have some nostalgic or historical attachments to the city. So that's why we're making that recommendation. So.
And to
Thank you.
Mr. Mauer's point, as a council rep to the Parks Board, there's been no discussion on the council level at this point. They've just let it be down in the board level. I would think council would probably go along with it, because it's just not cost prohibitive to keep it anymore. I don't want to speak for my fellow council members.
Further discussion? All right. Davis,
Aye.
Dirth,
Aye.
Royal,
Aye.
Herman,
Aye.
Kaufman,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Millet.
Aye.
Motion passed 7-0.
All right, our next item. Recommend a request for chosen international pathfinders for a temporary slow-no wake for a water ski show in August.
I'm actually going to turn it over to Kathy Snell, who's our special events coordinator with the city, and she can walk you through the process so far. And we do have representatives from the ski show representatives here for any questions as well. So.
Hi, Kathy Snell. I'm the Special Events Coordinator for the City of Oshkosh. With me tonight are Ann, Michelle, and Jamie with the Waterboard Warriors. They have held water ski shows in different areas throughout Wisconsin over the years, and so Chosen has selected them to provide a ski show to the public and for the Pathfinders who will be here in August of this year. We've done some work kind of looking at what would be best suited for an area for that location, for them to be able to provide that ski show to both the public and to the Pathfinders group. There would be approximately 2,000 individuals brought from the Chosen Pathfinders group, and then again open to the public, so not really sure how many additional outside of that. What we've been looking for throughout this process was an area that we could ensure that public and private docks would not be affected by the ski show itself, waves created, so forth. So we're looking at the area to the east of the Oshkosh Senior Center and Fox Valley Technical College off of Campbell Road. This is between Oshkosh Ave and Wisconsin Street Bridge. What we would be looking to do would be to close down the Stegbauer Park boat launch area for the duration of that show. We would be looking at Thursday, August 15th from 2 to 4 p.m. They would have a floating dock. I believe everybody has a map with the locations. And then the ski show area just beyond that. We have been trying to reach out to the Coast Guard Auxiliary to assist with that slow no wake. Not really getting a response at this time. We're questioning whether or not that auxiliary is working throughout the winter months. So we're still working with that, but we do have a backup plan where the Winnebago County Sheriff's Department did give us an estimate for the Pathfinders should they have to instead help to enforce that slow no wake. What we would be looking to do then is to have that slow no wake just throughout the duration of the event. We would reach out to local marinas and then also postings at the boat launches areas to notify boaters in advance of that change.
You'd be looking at continuing to have boat traffic just
to the east of the river. And in discussion just earlier tonight, Anna indicated that they would be looking to get a buoy.
Yeah, we are actually looking at getting a buoy that says slow no wake, show in progress for our own ski site, and that would be something portable that we could take and post out in the river as well.
Can you talk about some of the other communities and the river systems that you've had boat shows or ski shows in, please?
This is Jamie, he's our president of the water board, he's gonna let you know.
So we have skied in Manitowoc, also Sheboygan, and up in Sister Bay and Green Bay, downtown Green Bay, and then we ski twice a week all summer in Wrightstown on the river.
So we've done Marina Fest.
Yep, Subfest.
Subfest,
The Fest.
Fire on the Fox, the children's fundraiser for the hospital, Children's Hospital
Children's Hospital.
in Sheboygan.
Yep.
We've done it for them too.
Kathy, it's just one day? Are we just?
Yeah.
Yes, just
Yeah.
one day.
One half day, really.
Yeah.
one
The only,
half day.
yeah, and 2 to 4, I guess the only thought I had is Waterfest night, but I think there'll be, a lot of those that tie up at Waterfest come the day before even, and so I personally, as a boater, I don't see this as an issue at all. And the water boards group has always had a great show. I've seen it before, and it's a very good show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we all know how much I like bureaucracy. Let's make a motion to get this thing going.
Do you have any other questions for the group? Okay, good. Thank you.
And again, this is a action needed by the council in order to have slow no wakes per the city ordinance, so a recommendation to them, please.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Davis.
Aye.
Dirth.
Aye.
Royal.
Aye.
Herman.
Aye.
Kaufman.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Billet.
Aye.
Motion passed 7-0.
Right. Moving on to fish sticks.
Not the kind you eat. We do have a representative from the DNR here this evening. Adam has got a presentation for you, along with some of the pictures that we sent in your board packet. We had a meeting about a month ago and had some discussion about the fish sticks projects that the DNR has been utilizing in the Winnebago system. And they had contacted our department about possibly placing some in the river system, essentially adjacent to Riverside Cemetery. As you recall, at the last meeting, I just gave you a heads up that one of my concerns was enhancing, or not enhancing, but promoting more fishermen parking in the cemetery. I think that's something we'd have to walk very carefully on. And Adam and I had a conversation following that, and he'll follow up on some ideas we had through his presentation then. So, thanks.
All right, so I'm Adam Nickel. I'm the fisheries biologist for the system here. Part of my jobs has been focusing in on habitat work overall in the system, and fish sticks is one of those habitat projects that we've been working on. So essentially what it kind of means is taking medium-sized trees and putting them in clusters of 3 to 5 trees and anchoring them into the water along the shorelines to provide habitat for fish species for spawning, young of the year refuge, and so on. So it's an overall habitat improvement project for the system that we're trying to get going in multiple locations. So this actually kind of started back in 2016. We did a project on the Lower Fox River with the Fox River Environmental Education Alliance, and that's kind of what really got the ball rolling as far as fish sticks on a system. So this is just kind of some pictures that shows you our habitat crew constructing them. We do the work on the shoreline, pretty much selecting trees. Generally, we try to take the ones that are less desirable, taking them and anchoring them down into the water. So we did 3 complexes for this site. And there's another picture of complex 2. And for this one, they actually just built a fishing pier there, and they were looking for us to bring some habitat around the fishing pier so kids could have a chance to actually fish some structure. So that's looking upstream before we did the project, and this is looking upstream after. So we've kind of done different angles on these projects. Some of them are more habitat orientated, others are habitat and providing some access. It just depends on the site on which one we go with. So this is just kind of cool because we can go and do shocking demonstrations right along the shoreline there. The groups of kids come down and they see the fish that we catch, and it's really good environmental education set up for us. So we've been trying to push these projects to get the public involved and get people excited about improving the habitat on the system. 2017, we branched out. We worked on Little Lake Beardmore, mostly at Arrowhead Park and Herb Dowie Smith Park. We were able to get funding for these projects through the Natural Resource Damage Act, NRDA. So these projects are fully funded through that program, which is nice. We're actually getting some work done. And again, we're looking at shorelines that might not have a whole lot of habitat, like Arrowhead Park. You can see the pre-construction photos. Not much going on there. We added in 15 habitat complexes along that park, working with the city. And you can just see that it adds some habitat throughout the area for fish and other wildlife to use. And one of the things that I've been trying to do is get some actual results that show before and after these projects go in. So this is at Herb Dowie Smith Park. 2017, the black bars are before we did the project. We came back the following year, shocked the same exact area, and you can see the results there are pretty telling for improving fisheries in that area. So 2018 is after we did it, and obviously we had increases in crappie, bluegill, bass, species that you would expect to be using that cover. And this is for Arrowhead Park. Similar results, increasing for many of those species that provide a good fishery around the area. And I talk a lot about fish when we're talking about these projects, but they do also have wildlife value as well. This is an egret that's actually sitting on one of the complexes we completed on Little Lake Beardmore, which is a threatened species in the state. So it's kind of cool to see it come full circle. Turtles will come up and sit in the sun and that kind of stuff as well on these. So it's fisheries and also helps on the wildlife side. Last year our project was the Siam Bay. There we kind of worked on, it was kind of basically another 15 fish stick complex project, working along the public shoreline there by the boat landing. And this one had a little bit different scope where we were trying to increase fishability and put some habitat in the water. So we focused on those 2 priorities for that project. And you can just see that in some areas we brushed some areas, put that into the water, and opened up some access for anglers to get out there and fish. Again, just showing some pre and post photos of before the trees were in the water and after.
Do you use natural tree line trees, or do you actually import trees that drop into the?
We prefer to use the ones that are on site, just because it gets difficult bringing in older trees and that sort of thing to those sites.
You're into the box elders.
Box elders, the stuff that's not cottonwoods, that kind of thing. So
Okay, so more of the, what do you call it, ruddy
Junk.
tree, junk trees?
less desirable trees, yeah. So we're not going to go and cut a white oak down and
Sure, sure.
use that. So we focus on those. And one of the things we do is we anchor these, with the navigation and boating and that sort of stuff on the system. We don't want these trees ending up in dams and, people hitting them with their props. So we do anchor them down with 4-inch spades. And essentially, we drill through the trees, use stainless steel cable, and anchor it down into the bottom substrate using post-pull pounders or a hydraulic post pounder. So all the ones that we've done since we started doing this in 2016 haven't really moved at all. So, so far that anchoring system is working really well for us. So my goal has been to do one project a year since we started this a few years ago. And one of the problems is finding good shorelines to actually do the projects. They got to be people that we can work with as far as agencies, city property, and that sort of thing. And there's a couple of criteria that we try to look for when we pick these sites. And the property along the cemetery here kind of fits just about every criteria we have when we start looking at potential project sites. It's actually one of the best historical yellow perch spawning sites we have on the system. They spawn in those pilings that are out in the river, and they would spawn in woody habitat if it was put in the water as well. It's got good potential for bass, panfish spawning. There's already some proper sized trees that are on site that could be used. And one of the big things that it's got to be is well protected from wind and ice damage, and that's a fairly protected shoreline there compared to other areas. Equipment access is another big one, and we got to be able to actually anchor them. So the site along the cemetery there kind of meets pretty much every criteria we look for these kind of projects. So with that, I contacted Ray and was asking, hey, is there any interest in the city working with us on this project? And we've gotten here. So I think for this one, we would focus mostly on the habitat part. So we wouldn't go and necessarily clear out areas. We'd selective cut some trees, pull them together, and build those complexes.
Any questions for Adam or concerns?
Actually, how many sites were you looking at doing, or how many cribs were you looking at doing?
Yeah, so, in the past, we did 15 at Asylum Bay, and a lot of it just depends on the amount of shoreline you have. There's a lot of shoreline here, but what we'd probably look at doing is kind of doing a test year. We wouldn't go and drop in 100 and see what happens. We'd probably do 10, 15 and see how they hold up with the wind, ice, and all that before we would look at, adding to it down the line. So it's really kind of up to, the landowner, obviously the city, and what they're willing to work with. Obviously, there's a lot of shoreline there, so you could try it for 10 to 15 complexes, see how that goes, and work your way down if you want to.
You touched on a lot of the positives as far as the habitat and so forth. What are some of the negatives that other areas have expressed to you?
Yeah, so one of the things that we've been trying to work with getting these projects going is the aesthetics. Sometimes people just see trees in the water and it just doesn't look good. But it's something that we're trying to combat with saying that trees in the water are a good thing, especially when they're in places not, in the way for navigation and boating and that sort of thing. So that's been one of the kind of battles that we fought. The Arrowhead Park one was another one where, there's a lot of traffic that goes by there on the trail. So what's the reaction going to be? And so far, it's actually been pretty good. At the first couple of months after we do the project, you can kind of see a little bit where we cut and that sort of stuff. But the following year, when things green up, you can barely notice that we put them there. It looks like they fell there essentially on their own.
And these are all along the shoreline, none of them are out in navigation in the first place, correct?
Yep, they've all got to be, the permitting, they got to be anchored within 100 feet of shoreline, so they come right off the shore.
Is that all city ownership there?
I was just gonna get to that. We have also had Rob Way and Vicky from the county involved because there's an easement going through there for the trail system, and they have been in contact with the county as far as getting permission to go in there as well, so.
And just on that point, I was gonna bring it up, the county has done fish sticks in those ponds out at the county park. Have increased the fishing out there quite a bit.
Yeah, I
That
just
program
thought
too.
there was, with that easement there, I wasn't
Yeah.
sure if it's entirely up to us or not.
Yeah,
Well, the easement is an easement. I mean, they don't, I mean,
Yeah, it's really up to the county maintenance of that easement at this point, so
I
if they,
understand, but he's not gonna be dropping trees or falling trees in the easement.
but they'll be cutting potentially trees from the easement, so you'd have to have the permission of whoever maintains or operates that easement,
Do
which
do we
is the
see any
county.
pushback from that?
No, because that's,
Okay.
as I said, he's met with county staff already, so I think we're good.
Okay.
Yeah, they were working with us on Asylum Bay project. They have easement rights there as well, so it kind of sets up the same way for this. We would do the work. We've got the funding to do the work. The biggest thing is the city property and having, their name on a permit for basically giving us permission to do the project.
well, we get a lot of support, this board gets a lot of support from Otter Street,
Well, I was just
Battle
gonna
and
say, if you
Bagel,
talk nice to
so
Kaufman, maybe
I
some money.
don't see why we wouldn't support increasing our fishery
Yeah.
in the area where they have helped us with docks and landing.
This is a no-brainer
Yeah,
again,
this is-
so.
I actually did some checking too myself, and the area there was a survey done or a testing done back in the mid-80s, and this area was actually described as one of the better places for spawning of the yellow perch.
Sure.
It's because of the structure that's there.
Well, I'll make a motion to accept the DNR's proposal, to put fish sticks in along the public fishing areas in the city of Oshkosh.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Davis?
Aye.
Dirk?
Aye.
Royal?
Aye.
Herman?
Aye.
Kaufman?
Aye.
Miller?
Aye.
Millet?
Aye.
Motion passed 7-0.
Adam, I got one more request. I want you to be on record saying you're a lot smarter than Art Teklo.
It's retired.
My phone's gonna ring in about
That's
3
putting a lot of
minutes.
pressure on them.
Adam, just before you leave, when would the work be started or completed?
Good.
We probably look to do it summer, fall, hopefully this year, if everything works out timing, and it takes probably about a week.
So you try to hit the spawning cycles?
Well, you want to
Or
do it
after.
outside and then, yep, so it'd be there for spawning the next year.
Okay, good.
Thanks.
You can introduce. Sure. All right, our next topic, approve the life jacket loaner program at Rainbow Park. Ray, you want to give us a little background? Oh, Rainbow Memorial.
Yes.
Old habits die hard.
Yes, there are some young gentlemen here from the Oshkosh North High School Community Program and Conservation Warden Higgins. They have requested from us to put a lifeguard loaner jacket program in Menominee, Rainbow Memorial Park, I'm sorry. They're going to give us some more information on some other sites, not only around the Winnebago system, but throughout the state that have these. This is something that within the last year, the Oshkosh Boat Club actually came in and talked to me about because they've seen these loaner stations throughout other areas. And one of our concerns is obviously vandalism, the jackets disappearing and so forth. And we've had some discussions with the group about how that could be possibly handled. So they're going to address it in their presentation. And if there's any questions for the students or Mr. Higgins, he's available as well.
So name and address, please.
Okay,
Thank you.
my name is Bristol Bolter, 1629 Cedar Street. Okay.
You
Matthew,
guys
Bur-
could just speak up a little and clearly and slowly. I know you're probably, but I can only write so fast.
Okay.
Matthew Berger, 2600 Hearthstone Drive.
Tim Gillingham, 2575 Hamilton Street. Okay, first of all, I'd like to say thank you for having us come in and talk to you about our project. And take it away.
All right, so now for some more background, the referred to as the Kids Don't Float program. It began in Homer, Alaska in 1996, so it's been around for a while. Wisconsin began the program in 2012, and as of right now, there are 104 stations in Wisconsin. It's a cooperative program with the Wisconsin DNR, where boaters who arrive at a boat landing and find that they either don't have enough life jackets or they have forgotten theirs can borrow some while they're out on the water.
All right. So, like Matt said, there are 104 stations around the state of Wisconsin, but we do not have one here in Oshkosh. There are some in Menasha, Fond du Lac, and Appleton area, but we don't have one here, so that's a problem. But according to the DNR, the 2017 DNR annual program report, the #1 citation for boating in Wisconsin was failure to provide a flotation device for everybody on the boat. So, like, this is what we're working to, is make sure that everybody, if they forget one, they can just grab one, take it on the boat with them when they get back, and return it back to what it was before. So, like it says in there, we're going to say our personal whys of, like, why we chose this project. So, I chose this project because, like, I'm a big person on safety, and, like, if you get in a crash or something and you don't have a flotation device, you could potentially die or get injured. But with this, it will supply flotation devices for everybody on the boat, so, like, everybody can be safe.
For me, I've always spent most of my summer out on the lake, specifically Butamore, not Bago. And to me, people being safe is something that's important to me, and avoiding accidents as well.
And for me personally, me and my grandpa like to go out on the boat a lot, and I think it's very important for other people to have life jackets. I know that we do, and I see lots of little kids that don't have them, so I just think that me looking around and be like, oh, they should have a life jacket, should be really important for them.
So, how we're going to do this is we're going to go to local boating clubs, marinas, and some businesses to ask either if they can donate some materials for the project, like we gave you the materials list. In the past, the life jacket loaner stations up in near the Appleton area have been supplied flotation device from Shields. So we're hoping we can get some from there, and we're also maybe thinking of having an idea of getting laser printed or screen printed life jacket loaner program DNR on the back, so it'll hopefully cut down on the stealing of them or ruining of them.
Okay, and for the construction of this kiosk, we need all the materials that Jason passed out on the sheet. So we will be constructing the kiosk unless another organization will say that they will construct it. And we plan to do like in a shed or garage or like a work area that we have the chance to.
As for maintenance and storage, the kiosk itself will be able to be left out through the winter, even though it is on wheels. So if we would like to store it, we could. The life jackets, however, would need to be taken out and stored somewhere indoors so that they do not get ruined. And, you know, we'll be around to look after it for a while once it's done.
The location of the first kiosk will be in between the launch fee boxes in Rainbow Memorial Park, in that general area. And then if we need to store it, we either can store it under the pavilion or we can find someone who could store it for us.
Any questions?
Nice presentation, guys. My question isn't for you guys, it's for Chad. Chad, logistically,
As far as the location of the kiosk itself,
yeah, and additional work for you guys, I mean,
I think for location, we're definitely workable. As you know, we're putting up new kiosks themselves for publications and pay stations here. I'd probably like to keep it somewhere in that vicinity because every boater or trailer's got to come through that vicinity to see that, to work with. If it came down to storage in the winter type, like most things, we'd pull them off site and just so they're out of mind for that. But Rainbow Memorial Park, as you know, can be used quite heavily into the fall months. to that, so it would stay out there for the longest period of time. So definitely work with it.
And these, sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Tony. I'm sorry, Chad. And then, how do you feel about your guys building the kiosk if you got the money and the materials, so it's what you guys want out there? Ray's shaking his head no.
Part of their project is
Okay.
either
All right.
they.
Okay.
Yep, no, they understand that it's either they construct or they find another group to do
Okay.
that, so.
Yeah, once we have our papers for the land use agreement, we can get the blueprints and the budget from Penny down in Madison.
And they've had some conversations, maybe talking to some of the local fishing clubs and other construction people in the industry too, so.
Maybe a large contractor could donate a couple of these.
Yeah, there you go.
Mr.
I
Kaufman.
think funding won't be a problem.
Nice presentation, guys.
Any other questions?
I just want to make sure I'm reading when you say, like, on here, should these, I guess maybe just in other locations, have they had problems with them walking away? Or, so there being too few of inventory there? How do we anticipate those kind of shortfalls? People take them, or I guess if people, I know that you used to have some inspection stuff on here, but if all of a sudden there's a lot more crummy life jackets than maybe you want to have on that rack.
Yeah, like Jay told us earlier, or the last time we met, that one particular or station, there was more life jackets dropped off that people weren't using, so they could get rid of all the current ones and add new ones to it, and so like it replenished itself. It really didn't have.
And I think on the materials list, does it have the number of jackets that the
Yeah,
DNR does
it's-
provide? It's about 25 or 28, I think, initially. What I've challenged these young men to do is to at least get another 24 donated or purchased that we would have back at our shop for an inventory, because as we all know, things may disappear and they'll get worn out, and we just don't have a budget to continually replace life jackets. So we'll be challenging them to get another 24 at least for our inventory as well.
It's a great program.
Any other questions? Thank you.
I'll make a motion to accept the, I guess it's called the Life Jacket Owner Board Station in Rainbow Memorial Park.
Yep. All right, Davis?
Aye.
Dirth?
Aye.
Royal?
Aye.
Herman?
Aye.
Kaufman?
Aye.
Miller?
Aye.
Millet?
Aye.
Motion passed 7-0.
Right. Moving on to staff reports. Ray, you want to go first?
I'm going to try to keep it brief. Wanted to give you an update on Little Oshkosh progress. We had the consultant Play by Design was not able to get in Wisconsin because of the weather about 2 weeks ago. So we had to reschedule them, and they will be here on March 20th. And what we're looking to do on March 20th, we will be going to the Boys and Girls Club from 4 until 5:30 to get input from the Boys and Girls Club participants on what they'd like to see at Little Oshkosh, or the replacement of Little Oshkosh. And then we'll have just a general public input opportunity from 6 until 7 at the Boys and Girls Club on March 20th. March 21st, we'll be going into Webster Stanley Elementary School classes for most of the morning and getting input from the students there as well. So things have gotten pushed back because of weather concerns. What I would hope is that at our next meeting then, April 8th, we'll be able to come back with a at least conceptual design of what came out of those input sessions. Next item is the Lakeshore Park Master Plan. Tomorrow night at the council meeting, City Manager Roloff will be announcing that we have chosen Smith Group out of Madison as the consultant that we, our selection committee chose. We had 9 proposals from firms. We evaluated those with our internal staff, along with purchasing staff, Alan Davis from Community Development and Kelly Nyforth from Community Development, so we had planning and community development involved. And Smith Group really jumped out to us as a firm that's got a lot of experience similar to what we're looking at, larger projects as well as smaller neighborhood projects, waterfront projects. Their presentation jumped out ahead of all the other presentations or the proposals that we saw. I think you'll be happy to see the graphics, the 3D graphics, their public input, ideas and opportunities that they are looking at. So we will be entering into an agreement with them. And actually, I just got confirmation that they will be able to attend the State of the City next Monday. So a reminder for this group, State of the City is next Monday at the Convention Center at 6 p.m. They will be at the State of the City so that they can be introduced to the community and start soliciting some at least initial input. I have not been able to schedule a meeting with them to start a project timeline, but I would expect within the next week or two we'll be able to have that kickoff meeting where we'll then have a timeline of public meetings with the different boards and commissions, public input sessions, and the progress as we go into our goal of meeting and getting approval at sometime in October, most likely. So, any questions on that?
I'm assuming Truck's gonna have some involvement in that and some people on committees and things like that, so.
And they'll be invited to all the public meetings, just like all the neighbors from the park. But
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
We'll make sure that they are involved as well. As far as projects go, the Rainbow Memorial Park Ball Field and Spanbauer Ball Field, the council last month did approve the excavator for those projects. We bid out the fencing separately, and that is on the council's agenda for tomorrow night for approval. So at that point, we'll have the excavating company as well as the fence firm, and we're going to start waiting for Mother Nature to let us get onto the site. Our staff, internally city staff, will be removing the old fence at Spanbauer, so that'll take place as weather permits. Hopefully, again, all weather permitting, we'll be able to get onto those fields. For reconstruction, the spring into summer, I think we gave them a deadline for both to be completed sometime in August, but we did express to them we'd like to see the projects done sooner than later. I just want to give you going back to the Little Oshkosh, again, the company that we're going to be working with on the design is called Play by Design, and if you want to go to their website, again, it's pbdplaygrounds.com. You'll see a number of their projects that they completed across the country. Last week, we actually went down to Janesville, where they did a renovation project back in 2017. 97 is when ours was built. 2017, when Janesville did a similar process that we are doing. So we got some ideas from their Park and Rec staff. And so we'll be taking some of those into consideration. But you can go to their website and see a number of different projects that they've done. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Chad, you're up.
One additional project that's out there right now with Stegbauer Park Playground. Those designs have been out there, been chosen by the Sacred Heart Neighborhood Association. Hopefully by April 25th through the 26th for their meeting that night. We hope to have some of the site removed and things working in progress to go forward. So we're ready by early May for the construction of the new site going in. It'll be a night, it'll have two different segments of it, a 2 to 5 and a 5 to 12 playground, and the whole site will be a poured in place rubber surfacing for the resilience, similar to South Park and the other ones that we've been putting in as of recent. So hopefully that project will take place and it'll be ready by the end of May, early June, if all things go well with weather. So that's a good highlight, to say the least. As far as some projects we're working on internally right now is, one, been going through the Lakeshore maintenance building and inventorying additional golf products and things out there and things that we can utilize throughout the rest of the park system that we have. So there's been a lot of contents in that building to get throughout the winter. Sign construction, you may have seen out on Rainbow Memorial Park, the new sign be put up there. Mary Jewel Park that's out there. We also have one for Al Brullier that's in the shop yet to go out. And I think Stevens Park is the other one that we're working on getting together for this spring when things work out for installation. The zoo maintenance building, phase 2 of that project was part of our capital improvements. last year we did the kitchen area, the fridge freezer, walk-in freezer area that you may recall, the HVAC. And this year, the second section of the room were the four animal exhibits in it, 3 that'll be displayed to the public and 1 that's a quarantine area plus some storage room to go through. So we're within a couple days of finishing that facility. So I'm hoping this summer, if we get to go out and do a park tour with the board, that you can see this facility, what's happened over the past couple years. Equipment maintenance has been big throughout the course of the past couple of months, and how can we forget snow removal? So that's been accompanying a lot of our time as of late right now. But if there's any questions and I can answer, please feel free.
All right, thank you, Chad. Bill.
Okay, we are complete with the 2019 pruning schedule. Finished up the last few items we had last week. So that went quite well. So, and as Chad mentioned, we've been battling the snow here for the last few months as well, so that's taken up quite a bit of time. I am working with a UW Oshkosh intern to record some of the GIS data for our cemetery site, with the hopes that he'll also have time to do some of the park tree inventory as well. So getting a good start on that. That's the park and cemetery data has been kind of in need of updating here for a while, so we're very appreciative to have someone here to help us that has a GIS and a geography background. So he'll be with us here for the next few months. We're currently working on some of our winter tree removals. As we go through pruning cycles, we generally find things that need to be taken out too in the process. So we're working on that, a couple emerald ash borer affected trees and that sort of thing. This week we'll also be starting on removing some of the brush and primarily invasive species along the lakeshore sites. So there's quite a bit of stuff that's along that shoreline that we'd like to kind of eliminate prior to the Riverwalk construction that is due to take place here this summer. We've got all of our capital improvement items for the division submitted for bids. We had one come in today. So what we've got on the agenda is an aerial lift, a chipper truck, and a stump grinder. So we're hoping that all those bids come in under budget, and so hopefully we'll have some new equipment here that'll come online in the short term. Also, I'd like to put in a plug for the State of the City as well. This year we're hoping to, the Sustainability Advisory Committee has actually come up with an Environmental Leadership Award. So we're hoping to present that Environmental Leadership Award at the State of the City on Monday night as well. So we're hoping that everybody can be there and stop by our booths while you're there too and visit if you can. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Jenny?
Well, so we have all of our brochures finalized here, so if anyone's interested in any of the different brochures for the Leach Amphitheater, the zoo, the amusement center, or the water park. So I've been working to get all those dates in place and everything that's going on. We do have all the bands booked for the Leach for the summer, as well as all the family entertainment. So that's all coming together really nicely. So that stuff is all finalized if you want to grab a copy for you and your family. This Sunday night we have our first, we're doing, or Sunday afternoon I should say, St. Patty's Day bingo from 1 to 3 at the Senior Center. So it's a intergenerational family event. We have lots of fun prizes that everyone could come play bingo, and that's free. The mascots movies, we had one of those in January and one in February. Of course, Mother Nature has not been our friend this year, so the one in January, I think it was like 40 below, and the one in February, there was a chance of snow. So they were lightly attended, but the people who were there, enjoyed them, and so we'll just kind of keep building them like any event. It just needs to get out there and people know about it, and hopefully next year we'll have some nicer days that they actually fall on. So we also are getting April 13th is Exciting Day at the Zoo, and our Breakfast with the Bunnies, so I'm starting to get that in place as well and looking for volunteers for those events. Those two are big events. Those need a lot of help and a lot of people to make those happen. So actually today I just started working on getting requests out for donations for those events as well as volunteers for those events. So that's right around the corner. Applications have definitely started rolling in. There's been several applications in each area, which is good. Starting a little bit stronger than last year for sure. So I'm going to be reviewing those soon, hoping to get interviews set up the week of spring break. For a lot of the kiddos, it's easier to get them in that week rather than trying to fit around their school or sports schedule. This year also, Danny from HR, we're going to the schools during their lunch hour. So actually today I did Lourdes. Thursday and Friday I'll be at North and West, kind of just setting up a table there when the kids are passing on their lunch to let them know that we're hiring and what we're hiring for, and if they're interested to grab a flyer with the website so they can fill out an application. Just trying to get out, kind of in the faces of the kids and let them know we are hiring and summer is coming to help them plan for a job for the summer. So that's something new that we're doing this year to see if that can increase our applications that are coming in. What else here? Yeah, I think that's all I really have. Just kind of working on getting everything in place before the really busy time starts. So.
Very good, thank you. Any other business? Questions, concerns? All right. Make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Who would oppose?